Hi everyone. My name is Lisa Heckman. I'm the interim pastor here. I've only been here a couple of months, so I'm just getting to know Art, and I was really touched that I get to open this today. Well, actually, the band opened this today, and whoa, cool. Well done. But we're just going to start with a word of prayer. Gracious and loving God, thank you so much for bringing us here today, a day that we can celebrate art. May we do so with gratitude, with lots of laughter and good memories. Thank you for this time that we get to share together. God, thank you so much for Art and his all these years of teaching and loving music and helping others love music along the way. I know it's going to bless our time today. I thank you for all that have had a hand in pulling this together. And God, just bless us and let us have some fun. In Christ we pray. Amen. And I'm going to turn it over to Lloyd.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first annual Arts Retirement Party Shindig. Let's give one more round of the hand for the house band over here, all right? These guys are amazing. All right, there he is. Hi. This is all for you, my friend. So last week I was on an airplane on the way back home, and it occurred to me that Art welcomed me as an outgoing senior. I had just graduated. My name is Roy Long, by the way. Art came in right after I graduated, and he let me hang out and help out the high school marching band. And I had no idea that on the other side of his career that I would get to stand here and say thank you for making a difference in my life. And 2 generations of all of you who have come after that. Art, that's incredible. And you have touched the lives of so many people. And we're going to hear from many of them in a couple of minutes. Congratulations on a couple of years. I'm not going to mention how many because that hurts. But no, Art, you're amazing. Thank you very much. I'm going to bring up Vance Varner now. And Vance, come on up and get the party started.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vance Varner. I'm the former principal at Lewistown Area High School. Mr. Belfiore was there when I came in the summer of 2000. I'm currently the superintendent. I've been blessed to work with Art since 2000. A couple words that come to mind when I describe Art, I think everyone's going to agree, dedicated. Truly dedicated to the students in our school district, the music community here. The commitment, he's visionary. You know, we merged our high schools together. You know, I knew exactly who was going to lead the program from day one. I think he's done a great job leading the Mifflin County Huskies. Just a true professional. In my opinion, every music teacher across the state should strive to be Art Belfiore. When we go to the tournament of band competitions, it's one of the things as superintendent I pride myself in going. And I would go and meet with the directors. And on more than one occasion, they would take me aside and say, "Do you know how lucky you are to have Art Belfiore?" The first time I thought maybe just paid him a quarter. It became a common theme. It's kind of like the band community wanted to make sure that somebody that may not truly understand, truly knew that our kids, our community, and the administration, the staff's so lucky to have Art Belfiore. I think that just says a lot. When I started at Lewistown Area High School, it was quite evident I didn't have to worry about the band. I told Art one day, I said, "Mr. Belfiore, whatever you want to do, just tell them it was my decision. Tell me what you said." Because it was like, it'd be raining on a Friday night. He has a band competition on a Saturday. And he goes, "Can I like wear the muckers or wherever they are? Or can we just like perform in the stands? Or yeah, whatever you want to do, Mr. Belfiore, I'll tell Dave Runk it was my decision. We're okay with that." So at the end of the day, you know, I want to stand here and I want to thank Mr. Belfiore from the bottom of my heart as a superintendent of schools for all your dedication to the music community. For the students here. I think our school community, our music community is definitely indebted to you for everything you've done over the years. The highest compliment I can give somebody is to tell them you are varsity. Mr. Belfiore, you're varsity.
So Art, you've heard a lot of this before, because I said it at the faculty retirement, but, and Polly, no tears. That's my goal. I was not lucky enough to be a student. I was starting to build the legacy at Lewistown. I was over at the revolving door that was IV, 3 band directors in 4 years. We did not have a legacy yet at that point. But thanks to county band and you held a band competition that we attended. So I knew who this Mr. B person was, but then, I went on with my life. And eventually I returned to Mifflin County to teach. And I was fortunate enough to be housed in the music wing of the high school, which is strange for an English teacher, but it was probably one of the best things because I got to know Mr. B very well. And he would swing by and talk at the end of the day or during his plan if I had lunch, and I got to know him pretty well. And, being out of my element in that hallway and kind of cut off from my department, it was really nice to have some friends down there, and I appreciate that. And as my kids got older and picked instruments and started to play, I'm sorry, I'm so short, and started to play instruments, I was on my tiptoes. As my kids started to play instruments, he would, talk me through things, and yeah, that's normal, and even just the parenting. He'd been around teenagers and kids so long that he could sort of talk me off the ledge, and yeah, that's normal kid behavior. They're fine. They're gonna be fine. And so I got to know him, and that room was great because I got to know a lot of the band kids that I didn't have in class, but they would have to go by my room to the bathroom and back to the band room. So at the end of the day, especially on Fridays, I got to see a lot of band kids. And there was a common theme. They were all different kids, all different kinds of families, all different parts of town, but they loved being in the band, and they were very proud of everything that they accomplished. And he fostered that in them. He made them so proud of everything they did. And I got to meet all these neat kids. And then I got to find out that he's also a bit of a propaganda artist, because as the boys started to get older, some of these kids would come in and say, "We hear you have kids who play music." I do. So, making sure I ordered the band t-shirts for myself and my boys so that they got used to being in the band. And obviously it worked because both of my boys are over here. So, although I didn't get to see Mr. B in action as a student, as a colleague, I'm forever grateful for his friendship. I'm gonna hold it together, Polly, I promise. And as a parent, I am incredibly grateful for helping to get my kids to love music and see the value in what they can do and take pride in that and be part of a group that brings them success. And not just success in the scores and the trophies, but in who they are. And your word is still gold at my house, so thank you. Tell them to clean their rooms.
Hey everybody. Now for something different. My name is Cole Cullen. I've been part of Mr. Belfiore's band staff off and on for more than 30 years. This is not what I'm going to talk about, being on the band staff. I just wanted to say that as an excuse to prove that there was a time where neither of us had gray hair. And a few pounds ago, but we're still very handsome back then. No, I want to talk about what Mr. Band Director has been for my kids. Carrie and I are blessed to have had Mr. B be a band director and a role model for our boys. There was a Cullen in the band program for 10 years, meaning he has been teaching at Cullen for nearly 25% of his career. While this is truly a blessing to us, I think you could fairly say there were times where certain kids of mine were a challenge, behaviorally speaking. Mr. B, is that? No, okay, great, great. In fact, there were 2 years where all 3 kids were in band at the same time. It was around this time that one of my boys came up with an appropriate term to describe what it's like to teach a cullen, the colonoscopy. I am a graduate of Indian Valley High School. I didn't have the opportunity to be taught by Mr. B. I was first introduced to Mr. B by my high school band director, Mike Wasilko, back in 1991 or 92, I'm not sure when. I was a high school senior with dreams of being in the blue band. And Mr. Wasilko knew this, and the first time he introduced me to Mr. B, he said, talk to this kid, tell him about the blue band. Mr. B told me about what's called the Special Admissions Program. I did not have the grades to make it to Penn State's main campus, but the Special Admissions Program gave people like me the opportunity to audition early to get into the blue band. If you passed the audition, you were moved to main campus. I auditioned, made it, was moved from Altoona to University Park, and was able to be in the blue band my freshman year. Had I not been introduced to Mr. B, I may never have learned about the program. And if it wasn't for the blue band, I never would have met Carrie and had the boys. So, Mr. B, when you look back on it, those 10 years of colonoscopies were self-inflicted. Okay, that's enough of being nice. Today we're gonna hear plenty of niceties about Mr. B. Mr. B was great. I wouldn't be who I am without Mr. B. I left my life of crime because of the clarinet. But since I've known Mr. B for as long as I have, I feel it's my responsibility to be completely honest. We are in church after all. It is time to bring some truth to the legend of Mr. B. So today I am going to talk about the many moods of Mr. B. And by many moods, I mean the 2 moods of Mr. B. When I apologized earlier, that was for this. I think we've all experienced this dichotomy of emotions. I know personally I've been part of several conversations that included, I'm not telling him, you tell him. I've also been part of covert operations that included unnamed band parents rushing back to the high school to get forgotten plumes or maybe a podium. So that's the grumpy side. The other side reminds me of the time when I was on staff at Lewistown. We were at a competition at Lock Haven. All the trucks were loaded, all the buses were loaded, we were ready to leave. Mr. B was nowhere to be found. Any guesses where I found him? On a swing set. He found a swing set and was just swinging back and forth like a child. So if you haven't experienced or felt anything I'm talking about, again, it feels my responsibility to educate you all on what things do and do not make Mr. B happy. So we're gonna play a game. I'm gonna say a topic and you're gonna say grumpy or happy, okay? So let's try the first one. Kara, go ahead. Mrs. B. Happy. Well done. Kara, the next one. Grumpy. Right. Drummers, grumpy. Okay, this next one's gonna be an easy one. Go ahead. Graduation. Grumpy, right. Next one, please. Rain. Grumpy. You guys are getting it. Okay, next one, please. Trains. Happy. After he's retired, swing by the train station, you'll probably see him sitting down and watching trains go by. Okay, we're gonna switch the game up a little bit. Now, we're gonna guess what the topics are. So, this is clearly a grumpy face. This is one day that happens every year, usually between band camp and the beginning of school, and Mr. B hates it. Any guesses? Picture day. You're not allowed to play. Belfiore's down here ruining my bit. Okay, this next one, honestly, sometimes I think he likes this one, but we all hate it. Please tell me, as a band parent or a kid, what time it is when we have to leave really early. Oh, dark 30, right. Is that a good one or a bad one? Yes, okay, good. And there is no question about this one. This happens at Christmas and Halloween and Memorial Day. Say it with me. Thank you. And so one more face up there to complete our bingo board of joy as we all wish you the happiest retirement. Now, if you're thinking, wow, Cole has done a lot of work just for a silly slideshow, you'd be wrong. Because not only are you witnessing an awesome presentation, you're also witnessing my final act as a music booster. Because for $5, you can take home a Many Moods, a Mr. B sticker. All proceeds to go to the music boosters, of course. Please see me at the reception. I got 100 of them, so limited quantities. In all seriousness, Carrie told me I should end this year, seriously. In all seriousness, thanks for everything. Thank you for giving me the space and opportunity to be a music educator. Thanks for being a role model for my mentor, a role model and mentor to my boys, and most of all, thank you for being a friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lewistown Area High School is proud to present the 93 edition of the Panther Marching Band.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lewistown Area High School Panther Marching Band.
Good afternoon. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Alan Peoples. I see a lot of familiar faces out here and a lot I've never seen before, which is really cool. Whenever you think of a living legend, you think of their name. For me, there is only one name, and that name is Cher. Oh, wrong speech. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, I started to work for Mr. B, Art, Mr. Belfiore, Mr. Belfiore, as you're known on the radio. His first year here, I was grandfathered in. He inherited me from a previous regime. And I am so glad that I was part of that life. From going on different scouting trips for band trips, do you remember that? To all those nights walking up the hill at Williamsport. And there's even some memorable moments with mints involved. And there was one, I found a video the other night when I was looking through stuff of someone spilling his Hall's cough drops out of his fanny pack as he was coming up into the stands. He never made it as far as I did because of that, but that's cool. Anyway, I am very blessed to have known and still know Art and Polly for a number of years. Polly's like, oh no, I know where he's going. I kind of played matchmaker, if you didn't know this. They met years ago whenever I was involved with the Stone Arch Players doing Once Upon a Mattress. Art came to the final show and helped to tear down. And they met. What can I say? I'm good. But what I admire most about Art, it was never about him. It was always about the kids, the students. Sorry, you're not kids anymore. And that was part of what made me happy to be known as the color guard instructor at Lewistown Area High School for a number of years. And I thank him for his persistence whenever I got frustrated. I remember the first year he was there going up to my apartment whenever I was living on 4th Street. And we watched old drum corps videos trying to steal drill moves. And believe it or not, he was able to do that from watching stuff from years ago. And I appreciate everything that he's done for this program and everything that is still ongoing for this program. Oh, Kathy, don't record me. Yeah, okay. Anyway, thank you. Have a very happy retirement, and I am blessed to have you as my friend.
Hi. Sorry, it's very loud like my shirt. My name is Josh Berkey. I currently am a music teacher with Pittsburgh Public Schools. And right now I want to take role as a good teacher. So if my brass friends, where are my brass players? Raise your hand. Where are my woodwind players? Color guard? That's everyone, right? I was told long ago that you don't acknowledge a percussionist because you only encourage them. So, another nugget that I learned and I kept with me through life. So I had the privilege of knowing Mr. Belfiore since I was in 5th grade. After learning how to play the baritone in 4th, 5th grade, he took me under his wing and gave me tuba lessons throughout middle school. So if you're in the Coraliers, like circa late 90s, I was a chubby little kid with a tuba carrying in and out of the band room. So then we got to high school, and that gives us our own individual memories, struggles, and triumphs. But I feel like the one thing that united us all was the band room was home. Whether we heard quotes from Monty Python or Jay and Silent Bob or other niche things, it was all home. And if you close your eyes and think about the old band room with a carpet, that's still a nice nostalgia memory for me. I remember the one day when we discovered Megan Beers had a pair of pants that matched the back room walls. If you think about those walls, yes. And another thing, I remember the one day we played the whole suite in F, and the piece calls for a little blue anvil, and we got a blue anvil, and I remember Matt Arn jumped high, like pole vaulting high, because he was so excited that we had a little blue anvil in the band room. And being as an educator, I realized the high standards of musicianship that Mr. B expected us and held us to. And this is where I want to personally thank you. I want to thank you for seeing, and this is a statement that I feel a lot of us can resonate with. Thank you for seeing in something in me that I was not able to see myself. Thank you for knowing that I was good enough, even when I had doubts about myself. Personally, I remember one day you gave me a baritone solo of Beautiful Colorado by Joseph DeLuca, and in my head I'm like, I'm not good enough to play this, why did you give this to me? But then you knew I was good enough, and you knew I was more than capable. And it took several years for me to realize this and understand that I was a very solid euphonium player. And that drive to succeed that you instilled in me in high school, be better than today than you were yesterday, fueled my pursuit of greatness later in life. While I was living in Baltimore, I purchased a professional model euphonium from David Federley, who was the principal tuba of the Baltimore Symphony, and I ended up taking euphony lessons from the principal tuba of the Baltimore Symphony, and I took lessons from the euphonium professor at Peabody Conservatory of Music. And on one instance, I was accepted into like a performance program, and I later declined it because he was like, that's $40,000 for a piece of paper. I'm like, gotcha. So the key is, like, I was accepted, and it was kind of a testament to making up to myself of like, hey, I can do this. You believed in me. I can believe in myself. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And when I moved to Pittsburgh, I took euphonium lessons from a grad student at Carnegie Mellon because in my head it was always, be better than you were yesterday. So Mr. B, I wanted to thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for instilling a love of appreciation of music for me. Thank you for providing countless nuggets of wisdom and grace that I continually carry into my life as an adult. Thank you for believing in me when I did not believe in myself and giving me the grace to figure it out for myself. Thank you for developing a high standard for myself that I carry into my adult self as well. In closing, I want to share that one last key phrase that I continually abide to this day. And everyone say this with me. If you are early, you are. If you are on time, you are. If you are late, you are 6 feet under. Thank you.
My name's Charlie Henry. I graduated in 2016, and I am an alumni of Mifflin County Marching Band, where I had the privilege to learn from the legendary Art Belfiore. I just wanted to take this time to thank Mr. B for helping me grow into the person that I am today, professionally and personally. He showed me how to demand attention, earn respect, but also how to be caring and how to be a caring and trusting adult in children's lives. I made lifelong friends in this program, and now I get to continue the teachings that Mr. B gave us by being the new guard instructor. Mr. B, thank you for allowing us to be kids and goof off while also teaching us about respect and commitment. So thank you so much.
Hello, I am Danny Garner. I joined the band in 2017 and I graduated in 2022. So I have lots of cherished memories because of what Mr. B has done with the band program and with the school. He campaigned for these competitions, and we've always had lots of fun at football games. But one idea that's really shaped me is this idea of grit that Mr. B kind of instilled in all of us. So one of the greatest pitfalls to accomplishment is simply not wanting to do, what you're supposed to do. New Year's resolutions are a good example of this. You think you're going to exercise or learn a language or pick up an instrument, but that passion after a week or two sort of fizzles away because you don't want to do it anymore and you just drop it. So through consistency in rehearsal, Mr. B showed us that we simply have to do what we're supposed to do. Through COVID, this was highlighted. There are lots of restrictions in place, and lots of band directors dropped their program. They didn't do anything that season, but Mr. B worked really, really hard. He found a way for us to do what we needed to do and remain healthy and safe, which was really important. Through fog and snow and rain and extreme hot and extreme cold, Mr. B has showed me what grit looks like and what determination looks like. And Mr. B, there are lots of former students and coworkers in the audience that have so many accomplishments, and they are at least partially indebted to you for their accomplishments and showing them what grit is. So a small story personally that showed how he's instilled this in me. When I was in 8th grade, Mr. B said, we're having a movie night, and you can submit a movie that you want to watch, and if I approve it, then we can watch it. So I submitted Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and as soon as I handed it to him, he handed it right back to me and said, absolutely not, we're not watching that. And so normally, I'd give up and drop it, but because of Mr. B, I had lots of grit, and determination. So I kept finding ways to submit Monty Python without him immediately realizing it. I sort of dropped it in his office one day. He turned it down. One year, I put it in a different DVD case and submitted it. And finally, my senior year, I submitted Monty Python, and he played the whole thing, the whole movie. I thought he was gonna skip some scenes, he didn't. It was great. Anyway, thank you, Mr. B.
Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Owen in the house band. How about Monty Python and the music program? That just kind of goes together everywhere. I'm looking at you, Chuck Lachine. I think it's like, it's a thing, right? Anyway, we get to talk about the cool things that have happened to us now because of this wonderful guy. And I'll start. It was a summer in 1991, and since Alan mentioned the previous regime, I was a product of the previous regime, but I didn't get a chance to be in marching band those last 2 years. So when you welcomed me as someone who wasn't there anymore but could still hang out, that was really cool. And I got to meet so many people, Chuck, Josh. So thank you so very much for all the things. I can't talk, geez, this is horrible. So we're gonna hand it off to anybody who wants to share some memories and talk about their time in the music program. The band room was home, and it was a safe place. It was where we hung out. That means your family. You look around the room and you see these faces, and we're all family, not just musical family. We're brothers and sisters who share common experiences and musical bonds and emotions and a connection that just doesn't exist outside of the band room and outside of the music program. All right, so who's up first? And if nobody comes, Chuck, I'm going right to you. All right, Chuck, here we go. All the way from Boston, Massachusetts, minus the saxophone, Mr. Chuck Lachine.
What an introduction. I couldn't miss this when I saw it was on Facebook. I'm Chuck Lachine, graduate in 1995. My freshman year was Mr. B's first year at Lewistown High School. So my graduating class was his first full graduating class. I know there's a couple other folks from that year as well. I knew I couldn't miss this because I had to say two things to you. First thing is I'm sorry. I have been now an active and professional musician through a lot of my adult life. I've been a band leader and a band manager, and I've been in so many rehearsals where I have been utterly infuriated by the musicians I'm working with, and every single time I think about how aggravating I was in high school. And I'm like, wow, I'm really paying for this karmically for all the grief that I gave Mr. B, because I certainly did give a lot of grief. So I've also, a few years ago, I started being a music teacher, so now I work with music students, and even more so every day. I'm like, how did that man put up with me and my shenanigans? But not only did you supported me. I got to be the drum major in my senior year, which was a bit contentious at the time. I was amongst, I wouldn't call us troublemakers. We were just, I don't know, goofy teenagers. Not everybody thought I was a great pick, but Mr. B did. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal to me to have you believe in me. So yeah, I'm sorry for being such a pain in the butt. I have paid for that over and over again and now relate almost every day. And thank you for all of that. Like, music has been an integral part of my life ever since then. It hasn't changed. I have my own brass band that is going strong, and as Roy said, the band room was really part of what helped me get through high school. And I know that's true for a lot of us in here. Like, it was a safe place, it was a place to hide. Back in the 90s, bullying wasn't as frowned upon as it is these days, so it could be pretty tough in high school for those that didn't fit the mold. And we knew we were always welcome in the band room. And we always knew everybody else was scared to come in the band room. Like, other students wouldn't come in the band room when they had notices to find kids. Other teachers wouldn't even come in the band room when they were looking for Mr. B. They would just like knock on the door and open the door. We're like, is Mr. B in here? Like, oh yeah, we'll get him for you. So we really liked that as the band room. And yeah, so like I just can't thank you enough. And so congratulations on making it this far. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to see, because I thought of it as you were playing the band video. We were not very good when you got us. There were like 17 band members or something, the very first clip of the video, and I'm listening to us. Ooh. But that second video, so much better. And the band just got so much better very quickly. So thank you for that, because we were pretty rough around the edges in those days. But it was all fun, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Thank you, Chuck.
See me later if you want to hear the real story behind the Chuck Lachine role.
I think when Art came to Lewistown, there were about 36 people remaining in the marching band. And look at how he's grown that program over the past 34 years. All right, let's share some more memories. Who's up next? All right, I'm coming over. Give me a second. Playing Phil Donahue as fast as I can. Bye here.
Hello. I'm Owen D'Amicantonio. Whenever I joined band, it was, so Cole Cullen started a drumline thing where it was like for people who either didn't play drums or they just like weren't super familiar with music. And I ended up doing that because Riley Cullen's like my best friend. He talked me into doing it. So I was like, okay. And it wasn't serious. We never did like any performances or anything. And towards the end of it, Cole came up to me. He's like, you're doing pretty well. Like, you should consider joining marching band. Like, you could be on bass drum. You could do some pretty great things. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, I didn't know how to read music or anything all that well. So I was like really scared. But of course, Riley talked me into doing it. And it changed my life completely. I learned how to, play music. I learned how to read music. I didn't really have a thing until I joined band, and marching band became my thing. And Mr. B was just so like, he taught me so many things. He just taught like, how do I even say it? Like he taught me how to like have structure in my life with band practice, showing up on time for things, learning your music, memorizing your music, learning your sets and everything. Like it just like instilled such a something into me where like I just became like so much more like focused in life, and I was like, okay, I gotta do this thing, I gotta make sure I'm here for this thing, and it just like my life became so structured, and I finally had that thing. I was good at art and like I did like art club and stuff like that, but this was like my first real like commitment that I did in school. And as I came closer to graduation, I was like, man, I can't really do this marching band thing for the rest of my life. It's my thing, but I can't really make it like a career or anything out of it. So I ended up going to school for art, and like while I stopped doing music, well, it stopped becoming my main thing. I ended up marching in the Legend for 2 years at IUP, so that was pretty fun. But it wasn't my main thing anymore. But I took those teachings that Mr. B, was so, that he instilled in me, and like I just like continued to use that throughout, my schooling career, and like now I'm working in graphic design, and like I'm still playing music. I'm still not completely out of music or anything like that, but if it weren't for Mr. B and everything that he taught me, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you, Mr. B.
Does anybody else still catch themselves like humming the songs used to play in marching band, or the fingerings from and all the drill? Yeah, just me, right? Okay, who's next?
Good afternoon. I am not a former student of Mr. Belfiore, but I was fortunate. My name is Krista Hildebrand. I had the good fortune to have Art as a colleague, a long time ago. I was formerly the band director at Indian Valley High School many years ago. And I was a very young teacher, and I had the good fortune of having a colleague in Mr. B who was very supportive. It was very cool when you have two high schools within the same district. Sometimes, yes, and I'm not sure. Hopefully that wasn't the case after I left, but we were very fortunate, very supportive of each other. As a young teacher, he was great at knowing when to give advice and knowing when to just let me figure it out. And I'm always grateful for that. I am currently a music teacher in the Mechanicsburg area and have colleagues that are all young enough to be my children. And having that gift of having a colleague instill those important things in me, that I can be what he was to me, to them, and pass that forward, was an amazing gift. And I'm grateful, and I wish you all the best in your retirement, Art.
How cool is it that you can grow up in the music program, but then you can share that same program with your kids? That's a thing. And Art, you've touched 2 generations of musicians who've come through Lewistown and Mifflin County. That's really awesome. Thank you. All right, we have time for a few more.
Hi, my name is Trisha Garrett, and I was in concert band and marching band around 2002 to 2006. I echo what a lot of you have already spoken on. The band room was a very safe and fun place for a lot of us. My best friend is not a band member, but she was always welcome. And there's so many fun memories from band, but the one that sticks out in my mind is the summer before my senior year. Mr. B came up to me and asked if I would want to learn how to play the tuba. And I was previously a flute player for, I don't know, like 10 years. So the summer before my senior year, we needed a tuba player, and I got the job. So I remember I would go in the summer, and we would do lessons together. But he kind of always took care of the tuba. It was kind of just there, and I would pick up and play, and then he would kind of take care of it afterwards. And I remember once we started school was back that year, and we were practicing. I started noticing that my tuba was gurgling, and I didn't really understand why, but if you go from flute to tuba, there are a lot of things that change with the instrument. One of them being a spit valve that I knew about one, but I didn't know there were multiple. And I just remember like we were practicing the whole band, and my tuba was just like every once in a while I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna ignore it. And I remember at one point he like stood up or came around and walked all the way back, and he like pulled the mysterious part of the tuba that I didn't know you could pull out, and he just dumped everything that was in there on the floor. And he's like, you gotta remember to empty this too. And I was like, and I did. But I want to just echo what everybody else was saying. I have wonderful memories of the band room, my time in concert band, marching band, and I hope you have a wonderful retirement.
We have time for a few more. Any more?
Hello, I'm Andrea Nagel, 93 graduate. But I agree with everyone here. The band room was a safe place. Mr. B was wonderful. Not only did he care about us as musicians, but our personal lives. I struggled a lot with insecurities and had an eating disorder through my high school years, and Mr. B was always there. I was in the hospital, he came to see me. I had auditioned for district band and made it to district band, but then being in the hospital, I missed a lot of practices, and he spent those extra times with me so that I could be the best that I could be. And I just thank him for that, and I will never forget him. My parents loved him dearly, and but he cares about everyone, their personal lives too, not just as a musician. So just thank you, Mr. B. Congratulations, and pray you have a wonderful retirement.
Would anyone else like to share? All right, Bailey, I'm coming for you.
So, as many of you know, Mr. B loves the Cullens and the rain very much equally. And one time, it was my first year in the drum line. I was on bass drum 1. So when Mr. B gets up into the stands to say something to the band, he's right in front of you if you're bass 1. And it's an experience. And one time, it was raining very hard, and we were still in the stands, and Mr. B was in a great mood, as you can all assume. And he put up the hand signal to play the fight song, 13 to the end, and a play started. So he turned and looked at the field, and he put his hand up like this, and he's in a great mood, like I said. And little old 12-year-old me thought it would be funny if I gave him a big old high five. I gave him that big old high five, and he didn't say anything to me, but it was the angriest I've ever seen him, so. Thank you.
That's awesome. That's great. All right, we've got time for one more.
Everyone, I'm Samantha Gates. I don't know if you remember this actually. The first time you and I ever had a conversation, I was a teeny tiny little 6th grader. Well, not teeny tiny because I was always tall, but Mr. Schweitzer, the day before the Panther Band Festival, had broken my oboe trying to fix it. And we did not have an extra school oboe at Lewistown Middle School. So he frantically calls up to Art Belfiore and says, I have a girl, she's in tears because she can't play the concert. And he goes, don't worry, I got one. So I have to walk up, and Mr. Belfiore is standing at the front of the stage at Old Lewistown Area High School, and say, excuse me, sir, do you have an oboe for me, please? And he was like, oh yeah, come on. And that was the first time that I realized how caring you were, because I wasn't even your student yet. And you kind of were like, here, have an oboe so that you can play. And that was when I realized that it was going to be a lifelong thing for me to be a musician. And when I got to high school and I was lucky enough to have you, I realized that I wanted to be what you were doing. And you were one of the main inspirations for me to become a band director and a music teacher in general. And so I thank you for all of your guidance and all of your friendship. And thank you for the years as a colleague. And I'm really glad that my son got to have you for a little bit as well. So thank you and congratulations.
All right. We're going to turn it over. We're going to turn it over to Art for some final words. But I've got one more that I need to read to you from someone who couldn't be here today. Dan Bigelow, class of '92, was one of your first students, drummer. He lives in Ohio now, and he sent this for you. Dan says, I learned a lot from Art Belfiore, most of which I can't put into words. He helped to permanently instill a love of music in my soul and believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you. From one Mr. B to another, I'll always appreciate you.
Second place with a score of 90.36, 90.36, and the awards for Best Auxiliary and Best Percussion. 90.36 Auxiliary, Percussion, and second place go to William Penn. First place with a score of 92.09 in your 2018 Group 3A Atlantic Coast champion, Mifflin County.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and hopefully not too many enemies, percussionists and real musicians alike, hello there. We are gathered here today not to mourn the end of an era, but to celebrate a man who has been retiring in 2 years for longer than some of you have been able to read. Yes, it's true. Mr. Art Belfiore has finally announced his retirement, and this has happened, though, more times than band kids have stepped off on the wrong foot. If we were marking it down, we would have most assuredly stopped by now, right? It's just assumed that every year goes like this. August is band camp, December, concerts, and then January. Existential dread, followed by retirement threat number 37. Then he shows back up like nothing happened at all next August. It's band camp again, coffee in hand, hat on, sunglasses, no fanfare. He's just there, ready to teach his on-field warm-up for the fall marching band show. And here's the plot twist. He's never actually left rehearsal. He's been there for over 40 years. In fact, I was in utero when he began this fun journey. That's 4 decades of student excuses, 4 decades of that one or two special parent that we won't talk about much more. And of course, 40 years of lost reeds. Enough reeds at this point to make Noah's Ark look like a life raft. He's moved so many stuck mouthpieces, more than a pep band has played Hey Baby. And he's endured Friday night bus rides that smelled like Axe body spray and regret. And he's answered more nonsense from brass players than a customer service rep at a kazoo factory. And that especially goes double for trombone players. Trombone players who ask that special kind of vague, poorly phrased question that make a grown man question his life choices. Which brings us to the sound. The horse whinny. Yes, that's right. If you ask Mr. Belfiore something absurd, you are met not with words, no, but with a full volume horse noise. And I'm not there right now, but Art, maybe you could do us the honor and tell everyone what I'm talking about here. We'll wait, I'll watch the time. Probably not happening if I know Mr. B that well. But anyway, whinnying like a horse is his love language now. Words are for the weak, after all. But that horse whinny, that's transcendence. You haven't really been roasted until a grown man in a band polo whinnies at you in Dorian mode. And then, let's talk about poise under pressure. Art has been able to successfully deal with cantankerous hi-hat stands. He has fixed saxophone pads with nothing but chewing gum, and he has survived questionable encounters with questionable folks on top of Skytop Mountain when he was asking for directions in the middle of January. Yes, of course, he does predate GPS. And he has likely seen it all, including having to keep calm when a first clarinet player cried, or a second clarinet player quit, or a third clarinet player showed up to a concert with some kind of foreign substance growing on their reed. He's likely conducted concerts through fire alarms, blackouts, snare drum mutinies, and trumpets tuned to A437 because it feels warmer. No matter what, though, he shows up. He shows up cool, sarcastic, and eternal. He's the only director who could say, "Interesting choice," in a certain tone that makes you want to rethink your entire life. He's more than just a teacher. He's a conductor of chaos. He is a curator of crazy. And he is the undisputed master of I yell because I care. But now, he's really retiring. We think he's retiring. I mean, don't hold your breath. Part of me still expects him to pop in next year and be like, but if this really is it, if the saga of Arthur Belfiore is rolling its final credits, then let's get it right. Here's to black coffee. Here's to unfiltered sarcasm. And here's to decades of making something sacred and noble out of something that could have been chaotic. Here's to spontaneous nays, tough love, and to students who are more afraid of disappointing you than they are of anything else. Here's to the students, thousands of them, who walked in looking for something to do, an extra class, an easy A, and came out carrying so much more than an instrument. They carried purpose. They carried poise, a reason for being, the best version of themselves, and hopefully a damn tuning app. Art, you've earned the rest, buddy. Just don't get too comfortable, because if we ever hear that faint neigh in the wind, we'll know you're out there still, correcting posture with nothing but a look, fixing rhythms with a question rather than an answer, and drinking coffee like a boss. Godspeed, Mr. B, you magnificent, sarcastic stallion.
I brought some props. My name is Dick Bundy, for those of you who don't know me. And Art and I go back quite a few years. There's several things that I would like to share. A couple of them are things that I appreciate about Art, and one's a little bit of a gag gift. First of all, I very much appreciate, I thought maybe that Brad Townsend would be here too. Is Brad here? Oh, he is here, right. Well, I want to go back because this includes you and Brad. I was involved with the Penn State Blue Band for quite a few years. And when I was first starting out, these guys were, these guys were graduate assistants. And it got to a point where it looked like I might be able to stay at Penn State a few years. And I decided that there were some things about the band program that I wanted to change, that we needed to make better. And I knew that the students would probably be a little resistant to some of them. And as I look back at that, as I look back at that, I'm constantly thankful that these two guys, Brad and Art, were there to help, understood what I was trying to do, and supported that and helped to get some things going that I think really ended up being stuff that the kids bought into for over the years. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Another thing that I very much appreciate is that, as you've heard today, one of the things that strikes me about the folks who've spoken, and were able to keep it together better than I am, they didn't talk about individual performances, or, remember that great performance we did of the whole suite, or that, that great, we did get nice applause for the championship, those were some individual performances, but by and large, as a teacher, an educator myself, and knowing there's a lot of educators in this room, I think it's too often we define ourselves by the subject we teach. We say we're a music teacher, we're a math teacher, we're an English teacher, but we're really teaching people. And I think that gets lost. Music, English, math, whatever it is, how we're reaching them. But I'm struck by the things that were said that also reminded me of something that I heard from one of my heroes many, many years ago. Some of you who are in the band world will know the name Bob Reynolds, who was a longtime director of bands at University of Michigan. I attended a clinic one time where he spoke, and he said that one of the things we have to remember is that they will, long after they have forgotten about the performances, you're talking about the people that you're working with, long after they've forgotten about the performances, they'll remember how you made them feel. And I think that many of us as teachers, whether it's music or any subject, I think that's a really important thing for us to keep in mind. And I think this is evidence of that today. I hope that, I'm sure that's not lost on you. It certainly isn't on me. Now, another thing that I very much appreciate is when I was just getting started, I had the opportunity to conduct one of the first PMEA festivals I ever conducted. Was hosted by Mr. Arthur Belfiore at Lewistown High School. I got this plaque from Mr. Belfiore after the concert. I've kept this in my office for however, it's been 35, 36 years. I still have it in my basement on the wall. Because the one thing that I remember very much about this is the quote that he had put at the top. And that is, the printed word can never aspire to document a truly musical experience. Wise words. Those of us that teach music know that that's true. The thing that is interesting about this is that this quote comes from the liner notes to the very first album put out by a group that you all know as Chicago, back when they were called Chicago Transit Authority. It's a 2-album disc. And that's been an inspiration to me. I've been a big fan of Chicago for as long as there's been a Chicago. And I thank Art very much for this. I've treasured this for many years. And right now, I'd like to have Art come up just for a moment. I know this is early, but I happened to find last year, Chicago released a disc that's called Chicago Live at 55, Chicago and Friends. And it is a celebration of the 55 years of their debut album, which was that Chicago Transit Authority album. I don't know if you have this yet or not. If you don't, I hope you enjoy it. If you do, give it back, I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Lucky for you, I'm not going to talk or tell any stories, because my introduction to Mr. B, as you call him, was probably him introducing me to fraternity parties at Penn State. So I think I better pass on those stories. You can see me later. And Polly had asked me a while back if I would do today, if I'd play a tune that I wrote for Art a couple years ago, and I think we didn't communicate super well on it because I didn't realize there was going to be a big band here playing. And I said to her, well, that's a piece for a 17-piece big band, 2 pieces that I had written for Art. And I said, I don't think we can do those. I can't just sit there and play them at the piano. So thinking about it later, I decided that we would give them a bit of a tribute from more of our grad school days, and that we all enjoyed together when we were all back at Penn State. A lot of the people you've heard mentioned already. And so I asked our friend, my good friend and colleague Patty Begg here, if she would do a number with me, one that we wrote for my second album that came out a few years ago. And so we're just gonna do a musical number for Art and for Polly. And this one's called, well, the title is actually pretty good for Art. It's more of a romantic type piece, but the title is Everything Is You. So, you know, that one, that's good for you too, right? So, you know, there we go. So we hope you enjoy. Oh my. I yell. Why? So we hope you enjoy this. This'll bring your mood way down and you can relax, and you'll really be ready for our pal Russell Bloom to come up and say some items of ultimate wisdom, I'm certain.
And if there ever was a question about how close we were, it was one of those golden years where this small group of graduate students became much more than family. And just to prove that, we all went on Art and Polly's honeymoon together. All of us.
All of us, doesn't it? Right? It's quite a party. I'm sorry, he's got to get my glasses because, you know, I don't have your useful eyes, my friend. You're the best, man. Oh, thanks. I don't need that. Thank you very much. Come over here. All right. Thank you so much. See what happened? Oh. All right, so here we go. We wrote this one. What year did we write this one? Just a few years ago, like 2010, 12, somewhere in there. They recorded in Brazil a couple of years after that. So here we go.
Playing in the waves, walking in the sand. I love the feeling, holding your hand. Life going by, I smile, I want to run away, to make my life a holiday. We'll fly beyond the sun and sky. Can't you see it's happening to me? I always will be true, for everything is you. I can feel the breeze. I can smell the air. I hear the music of our affair. Dreaming of when we met, I never will forget the sound, my feet up off the ground. I sigh, I'm falling in midair, unaware, your eyes are all I see. There's nothing else to do, 'cause everything is you. holding you so close. Dancing by the sea, I know that this is how it should be. Take me away, we will share a love that can't compare. 'Cause we are such a perfect pair. I know that you are all I see. In your arms, I feel your warm embrace. I think I'll take my cue, for everything is you. Everything is you.
It's the old crew that finishes up the show here. Arthur Francis Belfiore was born on April 4th, 1959, in the blooming metropolis city of Monhoy City, Pennsylvania. He is the proud son of Liz and John Sorry, it's the wrong speech. I thought it was this is his eulogy, sorry. I need the retirement speech, forgive me. I brought both, because, I wasn't sure which would come first, death or retirement. Art, as you've been lauded and feted, praised and pampered, almost eulogized, celebrated and commended today for a career that few of us honestly thought would never end. Not because we knew how much you loved teaching, but because, as Polly puts it, we call it frugal in our house. A little background on our friendship. It began, like many of yours, on a football field. Art showed up at Blue Band Camp in the fall of 1988. That would be last century. Ball cap on to keep that thinning hair on the top of his head from burning, a whistle around his neck, clipboard in hand. Art was joining the Blue Band not as a trumpet player, but as a graduate teaching assistant. Alongside Brad Townsend, Jeff Kunkel, we're starting their doctorates. Patty Begg, our other friend Lisa Bev, and myself were in the master's program. We formed a band of music ed misfits. Little did we know that we would go on to become somewhat legendary, or at least memorable in our eyes, in the School of Music and lifelong BFFs. I'd like to take a moment to recognize Art's contribution to music education. I currently serve as the Assistant Director of the Penn State School of Music. And before this appointment, I worked with our student teaching program. We rely on the teachers in the trenches to help raise the next generation of music educators. And for decades, Art Belfiore has selflessly provided mentorship, experience, and a heart to this mission. One of Art's great gifts is taking a wide-eyed undergrad and shaping them into a confident educator. When we had a project and needed a mentor, the faculty would say, call Art. He was the guy who could refine, or let's be honest, boot the student through the goalpost to success. Some of you are out there sitting in this hall. I won't name names, Eric Liebegot. And the students, they'd come back to campus saying, Mr. Belfiore said, and then quote something that we've heard before. I'd like to think the walls of his office are a snapshot of the stream of consciousness inside his head, his personal soundtrack. You know the quotes. Got gum? Get rid of it. SN, spare me. His voice, his posture, both iconic, often imitated, never duplicated. Across hours on the football fields, in classroom, buses, tailgates, bowl games, and bars, Art's surly wit and humorous eye have documented our shared journey. There were halftime shows he dreamed up, but could never actually stage. He wrote an extensive manifesto on the Pennsylvania All-State Lions Band and Penn State summer camps. See Brad Townsend, he has them. And he once put a foil apostrophe on the brand new sign of the Penn State Art Building so it would read, Arts Building. We let him have it, he earned it. Art, you're lucky the celebration is happening in the church. It has whittled down my remarks considerably. But I do have two stories I'd like to share. First, I ran a summer music festival, and one year we hosted 3 Colombian musicians. Combined, they spoke about 9 words of English. After the festival, they needed to go to Manhattan. Art, the loyal friend that he is, offered to ride shotgun on the trip. What we didn't know was that the night before, there had been a riot in State College. We pulled up to the apartments. Beaver Avenue was littered with debris. I grabbed a newspaper that morning, and as we drove down Interstate 80, Art read the story aloud, in full voice, with emphasis. It was a melee. Then, in a particular theatrical moment, he read, as the young man stood on Beaver Avenue on the street, looking up to the young women on the balcony, he shouted, "Take off your tops. There will be no repercussions." So there we were, 3 Colombian musicians, 1 double bass, a big white van. We rolled up to a street in Harlem, opened the doors, and poof, out they went, and then drove back to State College. The soundtrack of my life, narrated by AFB. My second story, Destin weddings are a trend now. When Art and Polly got married, they flipped it. They had the right church, this church actually, but probably the wrong pew, because instead of a destination wedding, they had a destination honeymoon. Our core crew, Patty, that alluded to earlier, Patty and Colin, Jeff and Maria, Brad, and our friend Lisa, 12 of us. We decided we were going to Vegas. Art and Polly decided, as frugal as they were, they couldn't afford both a honeymoon and a trip, so they would go to Vegas with us as their honeymoon. 10 additional people, 2 cars with bucket seats, blues, brews, and barbecue, eggs Benedict and broccoli, and Miss Playboy Bunny of 1989, Jeff? That's who it was? Yes? Okay. Polly, this is when I knew you were truly in for the long haul. Art's quote from that trip, broccoli, it's nature's broom. Speaking of Polly, being a band director's wife is no small gig. No weekends in the fall, parades on holidays, band shows, boosters meeting, sharing your home and your husband's with thousands of students. Recent articles list Art's career milestones, but those are your accomplishments too. When you got married, Art said, "We don't need gifts. We need money for a new roof." So we bought them a bundle of shingles. You've built a life, you have built a life, you have built a safe space for so many, a chosen family, a roof of love for young musicians finding their way. Thank you both for that. Arthur, it has been one of my true joys of my life to sit in the front row, on the field, in the classroom, and out in the world, witnessing your journey. I love you, buddy.
I've
I've been thinking about this for the last 30 years. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your time, your talents. I have never seen myself the way that you see me. I've always seen myself as a guy who gets up early in the morning, goes to work, and does his job the best way that I know how, to the best of my ability. The thing that I think is special about me is that I did it for 44 years. And as you very well know, teaching used to be a very stable profession, but now it's a very transient profession. And I think my superpower was I lasted for 44 years. When they combined the schools and Mr. Varner told me that I was going to be the high school band director, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Then he told me, and you have to teach 8th grade too. And I was like, oh. 8th graders, the bane of my existence. But after a year or two, I realized, I have them for one more year, and they're better by the time they're in 10th grade instead of 11th grade. So your vision for the future of the Mifflin County School District 14 years ago was the right one, and I still feel the same way about 8th graders. There are a lot of people here who have helped make me the person and the teacher that I've become. Dr. Bundy was actually the field assistant when I was a senior in the Blue Band. And I was so fortunate enough that Dr. Deal saw something in me that I did not see. When I first auditioned in the special admit program in 1977, that was a scary thing. My parents drove me to State College. I walked into Dr. Deal's office with my trumpet, put a piece of music in front of me, I sight read it, put another piece of music in front of me, I sight read it. He said, I'll be right back. He came back, and I think I sight read 4 or 5 more pieces of music. I went home. I found out that I made the Blue Band. I drove through my hometown with the horn down, yelling out the window, I made the Blue Band, I made the Blue Band. And then I had the opportunity to work with a lot of great people, especially Dr. Bundy. And 10 years later, or 8 years later, when I went back, when I applied to be a graduate assistant, Dr. Deal saw something in me again that I did not see. But this time I got to work with Dr. Bundy, who actually taught me how to be a teacher. And thank you so much for that. You have shaped me into the person that I have become and the teacher that I've become. There are other people sitting here, Rich Victor, Jerry Stone, former colleagues. I always wanted to be like Rich Victor. I wanted to be the teacher that he was at State College. There are a lot of people in this room who helped me be who I am. Jeff Kunkel is one of the best musicians on the face of the earth. And he helped me. He showed me that I could be better than I thought I was. Patty Begg has a great voice. I have so many great memories from all the places that I've stopped and taught. When I came to Lewistown in 1991, Mike Wasilko and Lynn Phillips, I think they advocated hard for me to get the job because they knew me from when I first started teaching at Lock Haven in 1981. And at the end of the second year, I decided, I have to make my stand somewhere. Because I had taught at Lock Haven for 2 years, in Ohio for 2 years, in Boston for a year, in Maryland for 2 years. I did 2 years as a graduate student at Penn State. I taught for a year in Clarion County, then I came to Mifflin County. And I decided that I had to make a stand, and I decided to stay. And that was one of the best decisions. That was the best decision I made professionally. And I think it worked out okay. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to all of my friends, my colleagues, my family. My brother John is here, and my wife Polly. It's a tough gig being a band director's wife. Ask Chris Bundy. Ask Mrs. Victor. It's a tough gig being a band director's wife because we're not there a lot. So thank you so much. And it really is condensation. It's not spit. It's a water key. Thank you.